some information about you. Your wife's name is Mrs. Reshmi Raghavachari. Your spouse is an HR, Learning and Development Head. Mr. Ghosh has a daughter named Arushi Ghosh studying in Standard 11 in Greenwood High School. Some hobbies which interest a lot of people here, so I would like to share that as well. He has a presence of a personal professional stage. He's a playing artist. He enjoys acting and direction. Music has been his keen interest, so he enjoys singing and instrumental, plays in Hawaiian guitar as well. Recitation and writing is her interest. Articles and books is something which he has contributed towards. His entire compilation of his passion comes from reading different topics and multiple genres of books. He enjoys playing cricket. Cricket has been his personal interest and his favorite sport as well. And he's based currently in Bangalore. Welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would now request Mr. Arul to kindly share the professional video of Mr. Anindya Ghosh. Thank you, Arul, for that insightful video of Mr. Anindya Ghosh. I welcome you again, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Good evening to everybody.
Could we begin with the panel discussion, sir?
Absolutely.
Thank you. You are okay with Anindya, or should I call you as sir?
No, just call me by my first name.
Great, lovely. Before I start, I would want to tell you that I too belong from a media group, and I was a script writer back with Ekta Kapoor. So I have one common interest. I did not say cut though, although with directions and acting, I was always in the back of camera. I really enjoyed my work. Thank you. That's something which connects in common. Great. So I believe you know the topic, and should we begin with that?
Yep, absolutely. Go ahead.
Great. We all know life is a challenge, and challenges are something which we really have to accept. We can't escape from that. But what today we're trying to target and focus upon is the challenge that we see in front of us is the leaders. So what, in your opinion, is the challenge that we see for the future of leaders?
Sure. So, in fact, even before I go ahead and explain, what the challenges are, let's talk about a few of the, what is leadership all about, right? So, leadership, one is not about just leading people. So, we need to be very clear about that. It is, by the way, is my voice can everybody hear properly?
It is audible. It is clear. Just that there is some issues in between. That's all.
Okay, fair enough. So let's think about leadership as such. So whenever we talk about leadership, we think leadership is all about leading people, but it is actually far from the truth. Leading people is just one aspect of it, right?
Correct.
How we how we handle our own needs, how we handle our own destiny is also leadership. How we bring in, for example, new ideas, innovation, thought process, vision, skills is also leadership. So it is just not leadership of people. So we need to kind of include that. With that, let us understand what are the desirable outcomes of leadership, right? So the way I look at it, one, of course, is the influence that you have in various spheres of life, with people, with ideas, with many other things. How effectively can you communicate your ideas, your vision? And very importantly, how can you build trust? The trust is an extremely important aspect of leadership. Now let's talk about some of the challenges that are going to come up in the future, right? One of the key challenges will be the diversity in the workforce. It's a very, very important thing to understand. As we are working today, you will see that there are three generations which are actually in the workforce. Okay? You have Gen X. Gen X is actually the generation to which I belong, right after the baby boomers, right? Then you've got the Gen Y, the millennials, and also slowly the Gen Z. Where, which are also coming in, right? My daughter is in the Gen Z generation. Leading these various types of generation is an extremely important challenge which is going to come up in the future, because the leadership that you provide each of these generations will not be the same. You have to keep on changing your leadership, the way you provide leadership, the thought process. Uh, what is leadership? So the leadership ideas are not the same across these generations. That is one big key challenge. That is what I mean by the diversity of the workforce. The second one, and a lot of this is already happening today, which is when you talk about leadership, most of the times in today's generation, you will not be given an authority and say, just go and deliver. You have to build that layer of authority, which what we call as de facto authority, not de jure. De jure is what somebody gives you. De facto is what you build from bottoms up, right? That will be extremely important, because the generations of tomorrow do not care about authority from the de jure mindset. They always want what is the level of credibility that you as a person bring to the table, not because of your position. Yeah. So how can you build a layer of influence? How can you motivate through credibility? That's very, very important. Not through position of authority, but through credibility. How can you keep, for example, from a personality perspective, you have a very calm demeanor that is not ruffled by any challenge, right? And that can be very, very tough. Because, for example, I'll just take an example. As I said, I come from a certain generation, right? Let's say the Gen X generation. I have a certain thought process, a certain mindset. When I'm dealing with Gen Z or maybe even a Gen Y, there will be multiple thought processes that will not match with mine. How can I adapt, not compromise, but adapt? How can I really understand that person's thought process and keep my frustrations at bay as I actually try to find out newer ways of working, right? This is very, very important. The third one, inclusivity, right? Many a times today, we tend to flock together. I will only get people of my liking, people of more homogeneous. That is not that kind of leadership will not work in the future. You will have to allow multiple types of people, right? For example, if a certain team is made up of mostly, let's say, men, you would also want women. If a certain team is probably made up of people with a certain kind of creativity level, you will need to bring in people with another aspect of creativity, because you need to bring a balance, right? So there are multiple ways in which you have to keep a balance within your team, which means you have to be a very inclusive leader. You cannot just say that because I like a particular way of working, I will only fill my team with people with that way of working. That will not work. This one, of course, is a time-tested one. You have to align your value system to the company's culture, which is extremely important. And this we need to really remember this. From a credibility building standpoint, this is extremely important. Many of us, and when I say many of us, I actually mean a lot of people from, let's say, my generation. Once they come to a certain age, right, you come to the level of when you have to provide leadership to a large group of people, we find ourselves lacking in knowledge and skills. And by the way, knowledge and skills are not the same thing. I may be extremely knowledgeable about a particular area, but my skill, which is how do I deliver, how do I, let's say, build a program, or how do I, pass on my my thoughts to other people, that is slightly different from knowledge. I have to keep on upskilling and keep on building this knowledge, because that is extremely important. The newer generations will not accept me just because I'm telling them a certain thing. They will not accept me at face value, right? That is extremely important. And you also have to understand that there will be a combination of repetitive and operational tasks. Then you also need to bring in tasks which involve vision. So all in all, these are some of the things that leaders of tomorrow will need to straddle across, right? They have to bring multiple facets of their personality in to actually address some of these challenges. Back to you, Bhavini.
You're able to hear me now?
Yep, I can.
Yeah, great. So this basically takes me to a place where I had once heard from Simon saying that 1984 upwards born people are having some kind of a dysfunctional with regards to the Gen Ys and Gen Zs.
Absolutely.
So this basically helps me to understand that where this understanding of generations are coming down from that top notch to the bottom one. But what we need to see now, what I can see further is this pedestal of this fast-paced world that we are in, or the rat race that we call that. So what are the qualities that would be required to become a leader of tomorrow? So any 5, if you could suggest.
Yeah. First and foremost, and this is extremely important, right? And this is where many of us actually start failing, unless until we are careful right from the beginning. This is what we call as a growth mindset, okay? And let me give you an example from my own life, okay? Now, if I look at it, if I go back to my educational qualifications, right? I did my engineering from one of the IITs in India, and I did my MBA from IIM Calcutta, right? So if you look at it, these are probably 2 of the topmost institutes in India in the engineering field and in the field of business schools or MBA. Now, for a significant amount of time in my life, right, I started feeling I've done enough, right? Why do I need to really do a PhD? Or why do I need to, do something beyond that, right? Haven't I done enough? But one of the things that I see as I reach a certain age and a certain position in my career today is what I have learned, let's say so many years back, right? It could be some of the premium schools in India, does not hold me steady or provide me with the capabilities in today's market. So, important thing, a qualification of 18 years of it, approximately, I'm just saying, of course, some people have higher more number of years of education. I'm just using 18 years as an example. If you believe that 18 years of education would be enough to lead us to the 35 or more years of career, because nowadays people, even after retirement, right, they do things on their own. So it's a much longer span. We are very heavily mistaken, because like an engine, like a car's engine, which starts, getting older, one needs to keep on investing in that engine, right? We need to keep on oiling the engine, right? That is called the growth mindset. That is extremely important. Otherwise, we will start becoming irrelevant, right? As in our careers and as leaders. Another important quality will be fungibility. Fungibility is a very key term, right? What I mean by fungibility is, as a leader, I'm to be well-rounded, right? In fact, when I was, when I was probably in middle management, right? I was in the US. I was working for American Express, and one of the HR leaders at that time said, "Listen, in your life, there are 2 ways of growth. You can go straight up, or you can go like this, like a corkscrew." Okay. So what he said is, the straight up growth can be faster for you, but you cannot hold it up there for long. When you do a corkscrew, will keep on, going round and round. It will take you longer to reach a certain level of leadership, but you are robust and you are installed in that area for eternity, for a much longer time. What that means is, I have added capabilities and knowledge and skills to multiple areas. I can handle operations, I can do business development, I can do, let's say, delivery of anything, marketing, finance. So I keep on adding to it, right? So that's called the fungibility. So it's like, as a sponge, I keep on absorbing. So it is just not a technical skill, it is also people skills. So there are multiple things that, which I have to invite. That's the second one. Third one, extremely important. We see that globalization and localization, right? These keep on changing over the ages. There was a point of time where, everything in this world was, there was a time where it was very standard. Then came the era where things started getting, personalized. And then again, with the era where, that set in where we said, okay, we can offshore a lot of work. Let's say we started off 25, 30 years back. Things again started getting standardized. Again, right? It started getting, specialized. So that no, just generalization will not work. You have to be specialized to handle different industries, different domains, right? Different types of work. Now, this constant interplay of globalization and localization can actually be very tiresome for us, right? We see, what I'm seeing is, this trend of globalization and localization, what is important versus what is not, the balance keeps changing very, very fast nowadays. Earlier, it would change once in, let's say, 10, 15 years. Now it changes in months. So, the world is so fast changing, which means as leaders, keeping this balance, how much of, I should have a global view, how much should I contextualize that, that locally, and how do I keep the balance, keep on changing myself throughout? That is extremely important, to be a leader of tomorrow. Of course, another important point would be, I just cannot provide leadership at the 30,000 feet level all the time. I have to get my hands dirty in a project. I have to, build some assets from time to time or help the team with it. So, I understand, what is going on in the ground. That's an important point. And I think one of the points that I mentioned is, the macro vision and the micro details. We have to be this balance, which is a bit of the globalization and the localization, but it's slightly different from that. We need to have a macro vision. At the same time, we need to understand micro details, and we need to, merge the twain. And the last one, this is extremely important: empathy and inclusivity, right? I need to, as a leader, actually take a lot of different views. By the way, I should not allow different views to slow my decision-making process. I should not allow it to confuse me, but I should allow it to enrich me. That's extremely important. Otherwise, what happens is, I start making decisions homogeneously. I have a certain thought process and I don't challenge my thought process, right? With different types of people, different types of ideas. And I also start judging people from my perspective or my point of view, right? So open up the aperture, be empathetic, never ever, basically take actions which are based on vindictiveness or self-centeredness. Everything should be in line with the larger vision, the goals and the metrics. That is what needs to be kept in mind. So I would probably say these are the top 5 or 6 qualities to become, effective leaders of tomorrow.
Lovely. Your 5 qualities are equivalent to the 5 senses that we have. And I can see that there's a wide ocean where people must make sure that they dive in. What I come to know about this is basically it's a plethora of understanding where people need to really comprise of these balancing of art of skills which they really need as a leader. So as a company, what should be my motive or what should be my nature or source of developing companies for good leaders tomorrow? How must a
So one of the things that every company, right, in whether these are legacy companies which are coming into the new generation or new gen companies, which are actually companies who are being formed in the new gen itself, right? enabling candidates who are being identified for leadership, right? Basically to get diverse exposure, not one kind of exposure. As I said earlier, right? Has to be corkscrew growth. So diverse exposure to different roles. For example, very senior people at times should also do individual contributor roles, just not lead teams, just to get a hang or taste for what it means to be an individual contributor. Or basically have a junior person, who will be, taken up to the ranks of the hierarchy to be a leader. Provide that person with a leadership kind of a role and see how that person performs. So there are multiple ways companies can actually do that, right? So basically have a overall program to enable that. Of course, there has to be a properly edged talent management routine. Of course, we all know this about the stretch assignments, job rotation, just to ground people, for leadership positions. The most important thing, and this is where many of us fail, we are excellent workers, excellent in terms of our ability to think, but we fail because we are not empowered to make decisions, or the effect of, or the consequence of making a wrong decision is taken out on us, right? So there is a negative impact because of which we shy away from making those decisions. Companies I would say, there needs to be a mechanism whereby this empowerment and risk-taking ability should be allowed. If it's an incubation, one should allow that within an incubation. But this is something that most leadership candidates should be made to go through so that they are not afraid. See, fear is the most important element that keeps us away from great leadership, right? So make the decisions. Even if you make a mistake, own up to it, learn from it, and not repeat it later on, right? So this is extremely important. The last one, which I feel is important to develop leaders of tomorrow, is please have sensitization programs, and most companies need to have them. I know that some companies have started this, but I don't think they've done it in a big way. But what I've seen, right, in my experiences, unless I, as a Gen X, for example, I'm just taking my example in this case, am sensitized to how the next generation thinks, what is important to them. We have to please understand that something that is important to me may not be important to the next generation, and that's absolutely fine. There's no issue with it. But unless and until I'm willing to learn what that priority is, their priorities are, or I'm willing to learn why they think that, a certain thing, why they think in a certain way, I will not be able to make sense out of the decisions that I'm going to be making for the next generation, right? So this sensitization is extremely important. And by the way, the needs keep changing very fast between the Gen Y, the Gen Z, and now a new generation has been added, which will probably get into the workforce. It's called Gen Alpha, right? So this is extremely, these are the 4 things that every company must be doing.
True, absolutely true. So it would be safe, or it would be right for me to say that the companies are basically the tenants to shape the leaders for tomorrow. Could we say that?
Yes, absolutely. But then we as individuals, right, we also have a responsibility to leverage all of that, right? And of course, you can take a horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink, right? So we have to drink. And so the test of, of the pudding is in the eating, right, as they say. So yes, it has to come from there. There needs to be the mentor-mentee system, because without that, things become very transactional and operational. That will not build, effective or good leaders of tomorrow. And there's a huge difference between managers and leaders, which I will get to. But that is something that, yes, the companies have to start that process, and then we need to have, employees who are willing to kind of take that path.
Great. So now we already have spoken a lot about generations. I'm sure everybody's aware about the Gen X, Y, and Zs. So how do you think, in your opinion, generations could be helpful in the shaping of leaders tomorrow?
Sure. So one of the things that, again, I'll probably talk mostly to the millennials, right, which is the Gen Y and the Gen Z. The The Gen Alphas have not come into the workforce still, so we will know about them more. The millennials, one of the things is that they need mentors. They don't need managers, right? So they do not need somebody micromanaging them. They need somebody who can facilitate, who can provide them with guidance, and then who can kind of be hands-off, allow them to do their own thing, which is what empowerment is all about, right? Integrity and authenticity, by the way, these are extremely important. I've seen this myself with a lot of millennials, right? They do not accept authority for the heck of authority. They just do not. They will not be impressed with somebody who's a senior vice president just because he's in that position. They go by the personal characteristics of the person in that seat, in that chair, not by the chair itself, right? So integrity and authenticity are extremely important characteristics that the millennials look out for. Contrast that a bit towards, let's say, some people of my generation. I'm not talking for everybody, but at least in me, when I started working, right, there was a very inherent respect for authority, irrespective of whether the authority was the right authority or not. But if it was authority, I would have respect, which is not there in the millennial generation, right? Feedback cannot wait. They need continuous and immediate feedback. So it cannot be at the end of the evaluation cycle, right? It has to be constant. So there has to be engagement with them. This engagement, if it is missing, then we have kind of lost the leadership boat, right? Of course, there is the human centricity that I have seen that that they want. They want the empathy, which I talked about, and many of them, they say, acknowledge us as human beings and the fact that we have a life. Work is not the only thing in our life. There is a life beyond work. So acknowledge that, right? So I think that's another point. And many of the millennials, and because they do not, because they question authority, they do not accept anything at face value just for the heck of it. Unless and until you show them the bigger picture, right? Unless and until you show them the vision of the mission behind what they're being asked to do, you'll not be able to enthuse them, right? It is not a instructive, top-down approach that you can take with millennials, right? So this is extremely important. We need to, as leaders, we need to help them grow. And of course, timely and relevant appreciation recognition is there. Now, when you go for the next generation, right, these same tenets, and I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing the generation divides also, because I've got people in my teams who are millennials at the same time, the next gen, which is the Gen Z, right? Now, the Gen Z, they ask for a few more things. They want the leaders of today to be technologically savvy and provide digitization leadership. So I need to be at the top of my game as a leader, especially in the digital space. Without that, I do not earn the respect. So for them, respect and credibility are important, but this technological savviness and being in the digital world, being able to play in the digital world as effectively as I played in the physical world is becoming much, much more important, right? For the Gen Z, that's what I find. And they expect the leaders to be very agile, not come with a specific thought process, be very, very open to keep on changing and tweaking and modifying the approaches, right? So this generation I've seen, they want to experiment everything, fail fast, succeed fast, right? Which is agile way. And they want leaders who actually support them in that, rather than question them out there. They say it's great that you are doing things very fast, very quickly. If you fail, absolutely fine. We give you the entrepreneurial freedom, but then you quickly show success. So keep on showing success in bits and pieces, in increments, till you actually show the bigger success, right? That is what I've seen a lot of these Gen Zs actually look for from good leaders, right? So I will say that this is how we need to change. Or when I say we, I'm just talking about myself. But what I was saying is that if we have that Gen X and Gen Y style of leadership, the Gen X style of leadership, the millennial and the Gen Z will demand these additional flavors in leadership and the flexibility, right? So back to you, Bhavini.
Right, true, Anindya. what I see is the today's generation, or how I perceive it, as I also have been from a part of a time where I've been teaching the Gen Zs and Gen Ys. So I see what is that they're more of impressionistic than expressionistic people. They want the impressions to be very nice. And second is what I believe very strongly, and I can see is there's nothing in a caterpillar which says that it's going to become a butterfly tomorrow. So this generations need to really work on those things, because there's still yet this rock which needs to be shined and brightened like a diamond. So they want to have quickly those jumps and to move that. But still, I really appreciate and I'm really grateful and thankful to have this panel discussion with you, Anindya. It's really great knowing a lot of insightful thoughts from you. Thank you. Thanks a lot for those insightful and meaningful information that you've shared with us. I would now request Prakash to take over.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Bhavini, for the awesome panel discussion along with our guest, Mr. Anindya Ghosh. And welcome, Anindya. I've been listening to you behind the screens, and I'm sure you just came on the screen now. Wonderfully shared, Anindya, about the top 5 key qualities of how we can become great leaders of tomorrow. And I really liked one more which you used is looking forward for Gen Alpha now. Yeah. So that's something more. So maybe talking about Gen X, Gen Y. Yeah. But Gen Alpha, yes, maybe it's all about unknown there. So how
and Prakash, if you may just allow me to add one thing, and this is something which I'm getting from my daughter, right? So she's now in the 11th standard, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going through so much of changes, right? I mean, having to mentor and guide her. So, of course, she's a bit frustrated at this point, given the fact that, 11th and 12th, it's too much of pressure and all of that. I mean, we know the education system, right? And when I tell her that, well, this is the way it is. This is the way everybody does. With her reply, Pat comes a reply. Just because everybody does it doesn't make it right, does it? Yeah. And then I, coming from the Gen X generation, I had to stop for a moment and start thinking, maybe she's right. So for me, because it is the way that has happened, there must be something right. But then not everything has to be right. That questioning thought process, right, which comes from her, has made me think that, well, I mean, I have to adapt to her line of thinking also.
True. Very wonderful example you have shared, a very practical example, I would say. And this is what is in fact required today. In fact, we always share that every person is correct in their own way. But what's more appropriate, and it's how we say for the upcoming generations of leaders tomorrow, definitely we need to start thinking in their angle as well.
Exactly.
Thanks, Anindya, for sharing those pointers, wonderful pointers. And I'm sure most of our audience over here would have loved the conversation today with Bhavini and Anindya. So just before me going to the next, Arul, I would request you to share Mr. Anindya Ghosh's LinkedIn ID. So for all the members and visitors and all the other leaders over here, feel free to stay connected with Mr. Anindya's LinkedIn ID, so that will add more value to you all and can stay connected with them. And Anindya, now is the time for a small quiz we take. And
sure.
We would request maybe 2 minutes of your time, so that maybe we'll just finish up a quick quiz. And then is where we'll have an open questions again with you.
Absolutely.
In between the quiz times also, we also always, every Wednesdays, we also invite an author. So how today we have Leaders of the Week, we have Author of the Week as well, where every author we invite, and then that's when they also share about their respective only one particular book for a short stint of time, so that they're able to understand, that they will spread more about leadership, more about managing self and others. So the 2 things which I'm going to do now: 1, we're going to do the quiz. 2nd is where we have the Author of the Week. And then after that, it's going to be the open discussion along with Anindya. So all the other members and visitors who are here, if you have any open questions to ask Mr. Anindya, the 2 ways: either raise your hand when I ask you at that point of time, and we give an unmute option. You can unmute and ask the question directly to Anindya, or you can type your questions on the chat box, and then we take those questions on behalf of you and we ask Mr. Anindya, our guest of honor. So before we go to the quiz, let's have a quick Author of the Week. Let me introduce Ms. Kala Nataraj, who's over here with us. Welcome, Ms. Kala Natarajan, and thank you for being our author of the week. So let me quickly introduce Ms. Kala for all the members who are here. Ms. Kala Natarajan is an MBA in Finance from Sikkim University and overall of 33 years of experience. And a nationalized bank is where she has, and then is where she's retired, and then is where she wanted to write books. And that's great, Ms. Kala, and nice knowing you. One of the very important, surprising parts I would like to understand and give you all a quick highlight of glimpses. Now, she has so far authored 3 books and co-authored 7 books of hers. Wonderful, Kala Natarajan, at this age. Happy with your inspiration, the way how you are doing and writing more and more books. Keep doing it more, and it will definitely inspire more people as such. And also motivational speaker. So Kala Natarajan, here is about your book, correct? So your book is titled as Reinvent Yourself. This is, I believe, the latest book which you have come out with and you have published it. Congratulations for the new book. And Kala Natarajan, you can just tell in 2 minutes what is this Reinvent Yourself is all about. And I will please share the slide as well so that people also know what that book is and the IDs of the respective Amazon IDs as well. Yes, Ms.
Okay.
Kala.
Thank you so much, Prakash. So to quickly tell you, my name is Kala Natarajan and I'm a life transformation coach, motivational speaker and author. Like the way Prakash introduced me, author of 3 books and solo author of 3 books and co-author of 7 more books. This is my second book. Actually, this is my first book, Empower Yourself. And this is my second book, Reinvent Yourself. I have another book called, which is my own autobiography, which is called Born to Fight. So what I do is I write self-help books because only one thought goes in my mind that tomorrow I may not be there. I may not be living, but I want to leave a legacy behind so that people read my books, and even if they are benefited to the extent of 5% or 10%, I think my mission will be fulfilled. So to tell you about the book, this is the book, and there are 5 chapters in it. It's all about changing your mindset to get breakthroughs in life. Everything is here. The moment you change your mindset about a certain thing and you start thinking positively and start making positive affirmations, things begin moving in a positive direction for you. So the first chapter is about embracing change. So embracing change is all about how to embrace change in life. When we all resist from change, we want a particular thing only, to which we are used to all the time. When the change comes to our life, we all resist and we run away, and we don't want to accept that. There are many people in my building. I live in a tower, and there are people in my building who are 55 plus, don't know how to send an email. So they don't want to adapt to the new technology. They don't even want to learn because they don't want to accept the change. So my book is all about accepting how you can accept change and get breakthroughs in life. That is my first chapter. The second chapter is a healthy mind creates a healthy body. So many people, they keep going in and out of hospitals and they constantly fall sick. Yesterday only a woman in my building was telling me she has diabetes, she has sciatica, she has arthritis, and she was keeping on grumbling and complaining. But if you keep on grumbling and complaining, you will attract similar situations in your life by which you will keep on grumbling, which will make you grumble and complain more. But if you decide to change your mindset and say that, no, I'm healthy, fit, and strong, and of course, take actions towards that direction, surely things will change for you. It's not magic, but it will happen slowly and your life will become more happy. The third topic is all about, we call it vitamin M, medicine for money. So many people keep saying, I'm always broke, money never comes to me, other people are so rich, I'm always poor, I'm always broke, and things like that. If they have negative thoughts about money, how is money going to be attracted towards them? So they should have positive, so they should love money and of course take actions to earn money. But at the same time, remove these negative thoughts and make positive affirmations to themselves. Write it down, etc. That money comes to me easily. Money comes to me from multiple sources on a continuous basis. And if they make such positive affirmations and become positive in life, as positive attitude about money, surely they will start having breakthroughs. The
Just in the
fourth
interest of
chapter is
time,
about,
Ms. Kala, the last two, I will quickly just share the bullet points that add value, the last two, fourth and fifth.
sorry.
Just in the interest of time, we just share the last 2 points along the
Okay,
bullet.
yeah, I'm
rather
just
than explain.
sharing. The fourth point is the fourth chapter is about failure redefined. So many people, when they get failures in life, when they fail, they don't try again. So it's all about trying until you succeed. You have to try until you succeed and not give up. A great man has said that it's not important to win in life. It's more important not to be defeated by your failures. And the last chapter is about awaken the power within you. Awakening the power means that many people, if they have bad relationships, etc., they feel themselves that they are a victim and they keep complaining and grumbling. Mere saath hi aise hota hai, only I face such things. Everybody is bad, etc. So how to come out of victimhood and how to be a powerful and strong person. So summon substance is everything is here. And when you change from here, external circumstances will keep on changing. Today, I call myself a power woman. Earlier, I used to also think that I'm a victim, but today I call myself a power woman and I'm happy and strong. Thank you so much.
Great to go. Wonderfully shared, Kala Natarajan, the 5 key pointers in terms of reinvent yourself. In fact, today, Mr. Anindya Ghosh was talking about the mindset. That was, in fact, when the first point, the quality, what Mr. Anindya was talking today as well. And he was talking about the growth mindset, and here you're putting it as a very positive mindset which is required. Wonderfully shared. A lot of connectivity comes across. All leaders think alike. The way how we are, the interpretation of all these are different. Wonderfully shared, Kala Natarajan. Thanks very much. And definitely, Kala Natarajan, as you shared for the quiz winner, I believe one of your book is as complimentary. Am I right, Kala Natarajan?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
great. So now is the quiz is where we're going to see. And then for all the participants, let's see the last week's quiz winner and who is it. And then we go ahead for this week's quiz of the discussion of Mr. Anindya here today. The last week's quiz winner is Mr. Sendil, right? Yes, Mr. Sendil Kumar from Daimler, India. So congratulations, Sendil. He has received the book from My Katha. So that's the book from the author. So congratulations, Sendil, for receiving the book. And this week we have the Reinvent Yourself book ready by Ms. Kala Natarajan to be shared for the quiz winner. So are you all ready for the quiz? So for the quiz, I request Mr. Regarajan from Nash Industries to go ahead and conduct the quiz and pass the fingers first. Over to you, Natarajan.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. It was a very nice session. To short for the time, my quiz is in the starting of the thing, the main character which is required for every leader, and the first challenge which we need to get it addressed is my question. The first one is, what is the main character which we require, main quality of a leader?
Quality. So
which
one
is
of the quality.
One the first quality. It is a very important quality. Only one quality sir has told. And the second one is the first challenge which we require to think. The first challenge.
Okay, so the first challenge and the first quality. First challenge, what are challenges? The part of becoming the leader of future or becoming the leader of tomorrow. And what the one quality which is there, which is very, very important. The first quality, in fact, I believe I told also now.
Yeah.
So master fingers first, quickly. All the members and participants, your answers in the chat box, please, quickly. And then we move ahead with the open questions discussion time. So one quality. Okay, Nelly says handle people and ideas. Okay. Others quickly.
Yeah, we are waiting.
So the first quality Giri Selvaraj says 1 point. Vasanti Jason says the second point. Which one is right, Rangiraj? Quickly.
Both is not there. My question is the very important quality everyone required, not the first quality. For every leader, this is the quality, this is the thing it is required to earn.
So the 5 pointers are what?
Isn't it knowledge and skill set?
No,
So Rangarajan, you're going to get it done. So please go ahead.
I think I got. I will type it now. Okay. The main important quality which leaders need to earn is the trust. And the first challenge, what Sir told, is diversity. We need to handle the diversity so that only we can come out of the different gen difference. So it is a very main one.
Wonderful.
Over to you, Prakash.
Good. So trust and diversity, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
So that also, in fact, yes, Mr. Anindya Ghosh spoke about trust and diversity as well. And the more qualities also was discussed. In fact, awesomely shared, Rangarajan, but who is the winner now? Who shall we give? The book of Kalana Rajan too.
We can give it to Selvaraj sir, even though answer is not there. He given the best quality. We can give to Selvaraj sir.
Selvaraj David, so you're the decision maker. So all the decisions are right. Keeping that in mind is where we're going in towards you, Rangarajan. Thanks very much. So the book of Kalana Rajan of the book is Reinvent Yourself is going to Selvaraj David. Wow, congratulations, Selvaraj David, for getting the book of Reinvent Yourself. Awesome, David. So everyone kindly type congrats, David, for receiving the book. And thanks, Kalana Rajan, for sharing. One book is complimentary to our quiz winner here. Great. So all the leaders, members, and the guests of honor. So now is the time for open questions to Mr. Anindya Ghosh. So quickly, if you have any questions to ask Mr. Anindya, quickly raise your hand and we give you an opportunity to ask the question. If not, type your answer questions on the chat box and we take it on your behalf and we ask with Mr. Anindya. So in 2 minutes time and then we summarize it to come to a close. Mr. Anindya, I believe it's already 7:25. Is that okay?
Yeah, so I can go till 7:30. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Great. Thank you very much. So, Anindya, in the meantime, I have a question to you. Quickly, in the meantime, if other participants are here to ask. There was a point of time when we spoke about, in our discussion or conversation, we spoke about we need more engagement. And as a part of developing the future leaders or developing such leaders tomorrow, we need to start getting into more of an engagement model, you said. If you could just quickly brief, a leader should start engaging people or create an engagement model means how, what is that the leader needs to do that will add value to the leader?
Sure. So, this is one of the things that I've actually learned, one of the biggest things from my leader, okay? One of the biggest leaders that I work for. So, leadership doesn't just start with you receiving a request and passing on instructions and letting your team do it, okay? Leadership is all about that you sit with the team, okay? And many a times you'll be busy, so you may not be able to sit with the team.
Correct.
But if you believe that as a leader, my job ends at just passing on overall guidance and then let the team do whatever they have to, that is not the sign of great leadership.
Great.
So what I've seen in such cases, what works is, as you let the team come up with their own ideas, their own way of working, as a leader, it's extremely important to mingle with the team, be part of the team at times and say, why don't we probably go through something that you have built? Let us go through this, right? And I've actually seen him do that. Go through this, and he would then start becoming a team member and actually say, question, and then allow others to also question him, right? And that is how great products, great deliveries are actually made, right? The team feels very motivated because they're not working in a vacuum. They know that somebody who's a leader is actually working with them, providing them not only with guidance, but actually looking at the work, even contributing to the work. At times, for example, in my industry, which is mostly, let's say, even programming. A leader could get down to even at times write a bit of code and say, does this work? Put it in your overall code and see if it works. There's a lot of buzz around it, a lot of excitement in the delivery. It is not a regular monotonous delivery where somebody says something at the top and goes away, right? That's an example of engagement. Engagement happens at multiple levels, right? So I just do not provide guidance and walk away and then leave them to their fate. So engage, yet allow them to be empowered. And that's extremely important. How can you bring the balance? The sign of a great leader. You need to watch, such leaders in action.
Wow. Excellently shared. So engage and empower. So there are two E's coming up now.
Yes.
Engage and empower. And we can add one more E, and it goes triple E then. It goes more powerful. Good. So engage, empower. Good, wonderful. And maybe one of your other fifth point that we can add, which is empathy. So you need to engage, you need to empower, and you need to empathize them. So wonderful. It becomes more 3 E's of approach for the leaders for tomorrow. Great. Yeah. Thanks, Anindya. Wonderfully shared and awesome shared. So I believe a couple of questions. There are no questions as such, but people were listening. And initially there were a couple of challenges on the technical part of sounds were there, but that's fine. I believe we rectified it later. So we're coming quickly to an end of our episode 084. And it's been awesome interacting with you and very clear, crisp pointers which is shared for leaders of tomorrow, how we need to be today, and what are the key improvements which I need to do. And one more which I really like this, you need to be more tech savvy, digitalization of leadership, definitely, as I rightly shared with you. Today, if we are not going digital, we will not be able to gain respect over a period of time.
Exactly.
In fact, even my daughter says the same. Papa, you don't know this also. What is that? I mean, one of the key points of the mobile, if you're not aware about how do we do,
right?
That's the respect which we start gaining, and it's very necessary that we start getting updated ourselves, and that's when the digital transformation starts, which is awesomely shared, and we need to get into it. I'm sure thanks for Corona, which has really brought in more awareness on the digitalization for people, and then people start accepting it, where a lot of resistance were there earlier, but now it's come up. So on that note, so quickly, let's summarize all the pointers, what we discussed on India, and then we come to an end. I'd like to thank you by sharing the next week's leader and what we do. Yeah? So a quick summary of what all we have learned or what all we discussed today. I invite Mr. Nellai Nayagan, who is the Senior Manager Quality from Orlicon India Private Limited. Yes, Nellai, please go ahead with the summary of the episode.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir. I'll go to the summary straight away. Yeah, on the leading people, actually, the leadership is not only a leading people, and how we handle the people, also the leadership, and the people ideas, how we effective are will be the key role. And diversity is important, and to handle the all 3 generations, and the leadership to be adaptive and considering generation and understanding their thought process. And how motivate the credibility is much more important, and not on the authority. And this upskilling and knowledge is important, and we have to with the 5 key skills are growth mindset, and punchability and globalization, and balancing the globalization and localization, and empathy and inclusivity, and be empathetic. And for future company leaders, and they should have the diverse exposure and different role, and individual contribution, and proper talent management. And on this particular empowerment and allowing taking decisions are most important element for the leadership, and learning and having a clarity by sensing sensitivity is much more important on this. And millennial people needs mentors, not managers, and they need more empowerment. And we have to leaders should show the bigger picture, and top to down approach with the appreciation. And Gen Z, they need technical savviness, and they will experience, and they will fail fast, and they will learn fast. And the last, and we have to sit with the team, and we will mingle with the team, and we have to contribute with the work, with the empowerment, and that will be the better engagement model. Thank you, sir.
Wonderfully shared, Nalai. Thanks very much. Awesome summary, Nalai. Nalai, as in fact, Giri is also asking in the chat box if you can just really helpful. If you can text that, also put on the WhatsApp group, which we already have, so that people who missed today's episode may also be adding value on same for the summary of Mr. Anindya Ghosh session on becoming a leader for tomorrow. Great, Nalai. Thanks very much for sharing the summary of the complete episode. And all the participants and visitors and guests, as well as members here. So I'm sure today we have got very insightful session. So quickly, I would like to thank one and all, and for thanking, I would request Mr. Arul Prakash to share a word of thanks to our guest of honor. Yes, Arul Prakash. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. So thank you, Mr. Anindya Ghosh, for giving us so much inputs to become leaders of tomorrow. So before me sharing about the next week episode, let me quickly share the purpose of the community. For the visitors who are attending for the first time, Leaders Connect 360 is an hybrid model leadership community where every week on Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m., we invite a top management leader from a reputed corporate company to share the solutions for our real-time leadership challenges, either on leading self, leading others, or leading your business, like how we have seen Mr. Anindya Ghosh today. Leaders Connect 360 is an online community, also given an opportunity to network with people on the last Wednesday of every month through online, and once in 3 months with the direct networking at each cities. To network with working professionals for personal, professional, or a social needs. That's when we call it as leaders creating more leaders. If you wish to join our community, please click on the WhatsApp group link, which is on your chat box, and you will be able to join us to receive weekly updates, or call us on the number shared on the chat box, and then we will add you in our community. So now I'm happy to announce that the last Wednesday of every month has always been an episode where we network with like-minded leaders for constant growth. One of the secrets of how powerful leaders who are growing constantly through networking at Leaders Connect 360, we network through NOEL method. Wants to know what's NOEL method and how do we use? Join us on 31st August 2022, next week, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. Zoom live. Please do join us our social media platforms to get updates about our our next week episode. I would like to thank the guest, Mr. Anindya Ghosh, panel discussion leader, Ms. Bhavini, and the author of the week, Ms. Kala Natrachan, for spending your valuable time in sharing your experience and solutions. So for all our visitors and members, kindly stay till the end of the episode as we give an opportunity to introduce yourself, which will help us to know you better. So now we have a special thanking video for all, and after the video, we shall have our introduction. So thank you. Let me share the video.
Before the video, Arul, just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Anindya Ghosh, we generally have a quick introduction session after every episode. So if you wish to be a part of the introduction session, that would be great. Or if you have time and you have other commitments, it's completely fine.
Yeah,
Great.
unfortunately, I have another commitment, so I need to drop right now. Okay.
That's completely fine. Thanks very much, Anindya. That's been really, really great. In one word or sentence, you would like to share about the Leaders Connect 360 platform, or what is one word or advice you'd like to share with us? Here we have all Zen X, Zen Z, and Zen Alpha also is going to come up now in this Leaders Connect community. What is that? And then
so I think one of the things that I just say is, especially with respect to money, fame, power, or whatever, some of these things in life, don't chase them. Just start, again, this is a experience from my life. Start trying to become a better version of yourself as compared to what you were yesterday, and you will see that a lot of these outcomes, as I say, or the metrics that you have been aspiring for are automatically coming to you. So there's no point in chasing. There is always a point in attracting. That's the only point.
Yeah, so let's not chase, let's start attracting more automatically. Things will happen. But thanks very much for the piece of advice of what you're sharing. Adds more and more value to us. So
sure.
Thanks, Anindya Ghosh. For all the members, guest of honor, here's a thank you video. And after thank you video, we'll have our introduction. Thank you, Anindya. Been great rest. Thank you. Great, thank you very much, Arul. So you can stop recording so that people also will be able to quickly introduce themselves.